Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Cabbage Head Fanfics. Back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Becomes a Miracle Surgeon? Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. A villain of death. Controls 7 to kill 2. You cannot touch me, but I can touch you. Darkness is my home. I destroy lights around to make the world my lair. Capture is impossible unless I wish it to be. I feed on your sorrow, and I'm born from pain. What am I? A deep voice with red eyes peering from the dark says to his victims, I am a threat and your reaper. The mouth opens as it draws near to devour its prey. When the sun rises onto another day, students of UA attend their graduation day to become heroes. This year, the big three have a turn at being heroes alongside a student who skipped grades. Although he has one semester left, he's further along than Class 1A, making him a celebrity at the school. As Bakugo gets ready for another day, he hears the news on the television. His father sits on the couch watching as his mother cooks breakfast. Breaking news: Pro Hero Crust was found dead this morning. Police suspect he is another victim of the drainer. Street lights were found destroyed near the hero's body, which was also found bleeding from his eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and other areas, like previous victims. His body appeared to age as if he were drained of life. Police won't share if any evidence was found at the scene, but anyone following these cases knows that the killer leaves no clues behind. Misaki, I packed you a lunch. Be safe and stay away from dark alleys. Tisich, I'm not 3. I know how to stay safe. You didn't have to make my lunch. I'd rather not barf today. Oh, quit complaining. Some people would kill to get a mother's lunch. She raises a wooden spoon to throw at Bakugo, who takes it without arguing. Thanks, I guess, old hag. That's more like it. Oh, did you hear about a student at your school making history? Don't care. Later, heck. Bye, Pops. Katsuki leaves home, only to pass someone from his past heading in the opposite direction. Bakugo doesn't look up, trying to avoid eye contact. It's because of him that Izuku has to go for so many hospital checkups ever since the incident. Bakugo has been avoiding him because he blames himself. It's also the reason he was held back a year from school. Izuku made it into UA as a general studies student under All Might's recommendation. Katsuki doesn't know why, but he never asked. Instead, Bakugo has been focusing on his studies. Once in class, Aizawa claps to get everyone to settle down. Alright, listen up class. I'm sure you've heard about the student who has made history, jumping grades, and going from general studies to the hero course. He'll be joining our class for his last semester here. Unfortunately, he won't be here until tomorrow because of a doctor's appointment today. Plus, he's doing an internship at the hospital part-time. Kirishima, why is he joining us when we're behind him? Since Trouble finds this class so often, Recovery Girl has sent him to be our personal medic and stay with us until his graduation. That doesn't mean be reckless. Just because his quirk is strong doesn't mean I won't expel you for stupidity. Do I make myself clear? Everyone, yes, sir. The day continues as normal until lunch when the cafeteria doors open. Everyone is silent. Bakugo looks up to see Izuku walking in and heading his way, beside their teacher. That's when Bakugo stands up. No way. Deku's the new student. Izuku walks up, his gaze meeting Bakugo's for only a moment. Katsuki looks away, and Izuku smiles. It's been a while, hasn't it, Kaken? Bakugo grits his teeth before speaking. After class, we need to talk. Very well. Where do you want to meet? Maybe the roof. No. Let's meet in the men's room across from class. Shifty Hair will be there as a witness if that'll help. Izuku thinks to himself, getting lost in thought. Does Kaken blame himself for what happened? I can see how that's possible. I wouldn't blame him. It's not like he was behind me when it happened. In fact, his words gave me a reason to fight again, a reason to prove something to him. You're muttering again. Glad to see you haven't changed. Though the quirk is new. Yeah, funny story. I'll tell you later. Right now, I have to prep for your after-lunch class. With a wave to Bakugo and a bow to the class, Izuku leaves with Aizawa to the medical wing of the school. Kirishima, hey man, how do you know Izuku? Mina, and what's with the nicknames? Wait, were you both lovers? Bakugo, don't jump the gun, Fujoshi. We're just old childhood friends. Well, we used to be anyway. Ida, less talking and more eating. Lunch is almost over. Need I remind you that snacks are forbidden during class? Denki, yes, Mom. Ida begins to lecture Denki while wildly chopping his hand onto Denki's head. Kirishima, Bakubro, there's something else I want to know about him needing a witness. Bakugo, just be there and stop asking so many questions. Fine, but you owe me something else in return. Whatever, Bakugo said with a flustered expression. Lunch passes by, and Class 1A heads to the training hall, where Izuku waits under a tent with Recovery Girl and Mike. Aizawa helps train the students to rely on their strength and not just their quirks. Izuku watches while writing notes about fighting styles, quirks, drawbacks, and possible strategies to improve their capabilities. Everything goes well until a fight breaks out between Bakugo's friends and Shoto's. Shoto, Bakugo, calm down. Sway was just joking. We all know you have a soft side. Bakugo, calling me a villain wasn't a very funny joke. There's a reason I acted that way during the sports festival. Uraraka, we don't because you never open up to us. Ida, if something is on your mind, you can trust us to always have your back no matter what. Izuku stepped between them. Baku, stand back. I'm gonna teach these extras a lesson, Bakugo warned. To be a hero, you must trust those who are willing to shed blood beside you. Tell them, and I'll have your back as well, Kaken, Izuku replied. But why help me when I hurt you? Bakugo asked, his voice trembling. It's because you're my friend. I was in pain, but now I've healed. Now may I help heal you? Izuku reached out, but Bakugo tried to run away. Izuku grabbed his shoulder, pulling him close to hide his face. It's okay, no one here will think differently of you. You're still my number one friend and comrade. Mineta chimed in, what a crybaby. Suddenly, Mina dashed from behind Mineta and kicked him across the room like a pro soccer player, while Bakugo broke down and cried. Izuku then called Kirishima over. He's all yours, Red Riot, Izuku said with a wink and a smile before walking back to his station. Tell me, Midoriya. How did you know? We haven't told anyone yet, Kirishima asked. Kaken doesn't trust just anyone to have his back. Once Bakugo finished crying, everyone returned to class. Izuku pulled out a tiny ring from his pocket, putting it on his index finger and flicking it with his thumb. What's the ring for, kid? Mike asked. It's a fidget ring. It helps me calm down and stay focused, Izuku explained. That's cool, but doesn't it get in the way of treatment? Mike inquired. I wear gloves when I work, so not really, Izuku replied. I see. Well, I'm hoping to see your quirk in action soon. It's not nice to wish harm on students, Mike, Recovery Girl interjected. I didn't mean it like that, Mike defended himself. If you want to see my quirk, you'll need these. Izuku handed Mike and Recovery Girl night vision goggles. Mike looked at Izuku with confusion but accepted them anyway. Just then Koda rushed over. There's been an accident. Who was hurt? Izuku asked. About 30 squirrels arrived with Aoyama and Kaminari. Tell me what happened, Izuku urged. Koda began to get nervous, so Izuku smiled and prepared a table for them both. Drop the sides and let's get started, he said. The entire class gathered around, even Aizawa was curious. With night vision goggles on, the tent sides fell, creating pitch-dark conditions. Through the goggles, white fog emerged from Izuku's mouth, spreading over Aoyama and Kaminari, surrounding them in a bubble. Aoyama, 3 broken ribs, minor concussion, and his mental state is, huh? Izuku paused. What is it? Aizawa asked. Let me treat them and I'll tell you after. Next is Kaminari. Shorted out nerve signal disbursement and a broken leg. Mental state blank at the moment, Izuku continued. PFFF, he really is an idiot, Jiro commented. Izuku hooked Denki to a generator with multiple cables. With a flip of SWH, Denki flinched but then sat up as Izuku placed goggles on him. The fog focused on Denki's broken leg, and Izuku placed a hand over the fracture. Denki winced in pain, but it stopped when Izuku pulled his hand away. Finished with you. Now to finish Aoyama, Izuku said. Aizawa observed, his quirk is like Ares. Izuku waved a hand over Aoyama's head. From a tiny cut on his head, a few blood clots emerged, capturing Izuku's undivided attention. As the clots kept coming, something else appeared. Before anyone could ask what it was, Izuku squished it with his hand. Aizawa approached and slammed Izuku against another table. What was that you just did? I was hoping to talk to you about it later, Mr. Aizawa, Izuku replied. Tell me now or I'll expel you from UA. Aoyama is working for AFO. He's the traitor. I scanned for any possible quirk or monitoring device. That's what I removed and destroyed. You can remove quirks? My guest, surprised. Only those that do harm mentally or physically. Not for anything else. For example, if there's a quirk I like or I'm ordered to remove it, I cannot. However, I can remove quirks that hurt their host. Take Dabi's quirk. I could remove it because it uses his body as a fuel source. Denki's I could as well, but with this tool I invented he won't fall into that category. Izuku held up a pin that attached to Denki's jacket like a patch. This will keep him in full control of his quirk. No more backtrack zapping. Denki put it on and could manipulate electricity in midair, controlling the voltage, amps, size, and shape at will. Holy see, this is a dream come true. Denki exclaimed, grabbing Izuku in a tight hug. Okay, that's enough. He's still got more to do, Mike said. Let me handle the rest. I'd hate to just sit around and watch on the sidelines, Recovery Girl offered. As Izuku walked away to give the nurse some room, Aizawa pulled him aside. Tell me something, kid. Why does your quirk only work in the dark? Izuku looked into his eyes and smiled. Being suspicious of your students isn't exactly being a team player. My quirk works by giving me another sense by cutting off light. If any light refracts into my eyes, my quirk is useless. Now relax already. It's time to move past what happened to your friend. Aizawa appeared surprised. How did you know about that? I'm a nerd who used to be quirkless until it awakened during an accident in middle school. I had plenty of free time to research heroes. Anything about you and other heroes is easy to find once you get past a paywall. I also had access to everyone's memories and feelings when they were watching me. I'm still processing what I found out. That's some quirk. What's the drawback? As Kaken put it before, I tend to mutter randomly a lot afterward. It's to help me organize and process everything. I see, well then. You're free to go. Aizawa walks to the corner of the room to nap. That's when Kirishima sparring with Bakugo takes a turn. While everyone else goes after one another, Kirishima sneaks Bakugo behind a mountain terrain. They go into a hole that Kirishima dug a few nights ago. In the shadows, no one can see them share a moment. No one except Izuku, that is. With eyes closed, he can see everything in the shadows within 100 feet away. Izuku ball up his fists with frustration. That's when Shoto taps Izuku's shoulder. Midoriya, are you feeling alright? Do I need to tell Recovery Girl? I'm fine, but thanks for checking. Today is just overwhelming. A dream coming true. I see. Shoto sits beside Izuku and slides over a boxed lunch. My sister makes too much, and I noticed you skipped lunch. Care for some? Izuku starts laughing. Did I say something funny? The girls were right about you. Such a cinnamon roll. I don't have frosting though. I mean, my fireside can bake, but that's not what it means. You're just kind. That's what it means. Oh, I see. Might have to make a note of this. As Izuku smiles and enjoys the moment, a bug on the ceiling watches him. One that resembles a creature Izuku destroyed in Aoyama. Class begins to end, and Bakugo comes out of the shadows with his hero suit disheveled. Kirishima follows to help. That's when Izuku begins to flick his ring. What's wrong, Midoriya? It's nothing really. I was just too late to get him. Todoroki sees how upset Izuku is and wraps an arm around him. I heard hugs are supposed to help people feel better. So is it working? With a smile, Izuku calms down. You're a good friend, Todoroki. Thank you. Sure thing, Midoriya. After class, everyone starts to head to the dorms, except for 3. Bakugo enters the men's room and puts Kirishima in a stall to hide, making sure the door is cracked so Izuku can see him. Izuku takes a deep breath and opens the door. There, standing out in the open, is Bakugo waiting. It's about time, Deku. Hey, Kaken, so what did you want to talk about? Bakugo walks up and pins Izuku against the wall beside the door. I'm sorry for bullying you. I didn't mean to push you to a breaking point. Since we were little, I've been your friend. I didn't want you to get hurt because you didn't have a quirk. Now you show up with one. So I gotta know. How did you get your quirk, and what does it really do? I can tell when you lie, and I know you won't lie to me. Is that right, Kaken? Why do you think that? It's because you have feelings for me. The same way I felt for you at one point. Bakugo backs away and sits on the counter to keep his distance. Well then, time to come clean. The lights begin to flicker rapidly, and Izuku starts to roll his finger against his ring, getting irritated by his new nervous tic. Bakugo gets up and walks over again, this time with heavy steps. Kaken, Enough of the nonsense, Deku. We both know that you don't need this. Bakugo grabs Izuku's arm tightly, causing him to wince. As Bakugo pulls off the ring and throws it across the room, he pushes Izuku to the floor, pinning his arm behind his back. Quit stalling and tell me the truth before I break your arm. I've seen who gives people quirks, and he's not exactly a hero. I'm sure you heard about it. When you were kidnapped by the League, right? So you can speak still. That's good to know. As Bakugo puts pressure on Izuku's arm, Kirishima runs out to pull Bakugo off of him. That's enough, Bakubro. There's no evidence that Midoriya would hurt anyone here. He's helped our class, even improving Denki's quirk. This isn't very manly. No. Bakugo backs off as Izuku stands up. Izuku begins to talk, but is cut off by a loud, ghostly mmm that echoes through the entire school and dorms. What was that? Kirishima asks. Give me the ring, Kaken. Why should I? It's after me. Kirishima doesn't waste time asking questions and looks for the ring. That's when the lights cut off, and bright greenish-yellow eyes stare at Bakugo between him and Izuku. The ghostly mms terrify Bakugo, causing him to step back. Aya! Izuku's scream gets the attention of whatever is there. Without delay, Bakugo strikes the creature with his quirk, chasing it off. Just as the lights cut back on, Bakugo loses sight of Izuku. Oi, do you? Kirishima finds the ring, but Izuku is nowhere to be found. Only his student ID and wallet are left behind. Scratch marks on the wall show a struggle, with a few drops of blood left in the hallway outside of the bathroom. As Bakugo sees the blood and questions what happened, All Might walks behind him. I saw everything, young Bakugo, and it doesn't look good for him. Yet another time I couldn't save him. Bakugo grabs All Might's shirt collar, eyes showing both worry and anger. What happened here, old man? As young Midoriya was running away from whatever that was, they captured him. The new teleportation quirk came out of his mouth just as the Shadow's claws got his back. That's where the blood came from. He was scared as he called out to you with tears in his eyes. The light above them flickers and bursts. Just like what happened at the scenes of the Drainer, everyone goes silent as a deep, echoing voice rings out. You can't hide him for long. Without the ring, I will find him. The lights return to normal, and All Might begins to run to Nizu's office. Sir, we need to, the heroes say in unison. I'm aware of the situation, Nizu replies. We must retrieve our student from the League while also battling a hero killer. Kirishima interjects. If we give Midoriya his ring back, that'll save him from that phantom thing. What about the League? Bakugo adds, his cell phone. It wasn't left behind. Great thinking, young hero. Now we just track him down, hopefully before someone hurts him. It's about time we right the wrongs of our past. Wouldn't you agree, All Might? Bakugo looks confused. What is he going on about, All Might? It's my fault Midoriya had his accident, All Might admits. That's enough. We can talk about this once Midoriya is home, Kirishima insists. Meanwhile, Midoriya opens his eyes to find Spinner, Compress, Toga, Dabi, and Shigaraki standing before him. He is chained, with his arms bound in front by a metal wrist cage and leather straps holding him to the chair. As he tries to speak, Shigaraki smirks, and Midoriya realizes he can't breathe freely due to an oxygen mask covering his mouth and nose. Don't even try to use that quirk. We know everything about it because you stole it from us, and we want it back, Shigaraki warns. Dabi places a hand on Midoriya's shoulder, causing him to gasp in pain. Toga approaches with a syringe to draw blood, giving everyone a chance to inflict pain on him. Shigaraki waits beside Toga for the quirk blueprints. As the heroes and students prepare for battle, Nizu tracks Midoriya's location. The moment it's discovered, everyone is sent out to rescue him. Instead of trying to keep the students out of harm's way, the teachers plan with them for an easier mission. Beep! Toga exclaims. The results are in. Wait, is this right? What's wrong? Shigaraki asks. Our friend here has multiple quirks fused as one, and he's not decaying like a Nomu, Toga reveals. How many quirks are there? Shigaraki inquires. I'll need more time too, but before Toga can finish, all the power goes out, deleting everything about Midoriya's quirk information as the computer explodes. Darkness fills the base, accompanied by ghostly amidst. I've finally found you. Shigaraki shouts, preparing to fight, but he can't see anything in front of him. Dabi's flames flare up, but they can't cut through the darkness enveloping them. What is this? A Kingdom Hearts quirk? Dabi questions. Midoriya's trembles begin to stop. His head drops as he whispers, "Come and get me." Shigaraki senses something behind him and strikes, only to end up attacking Spinner, killing him in the process. Dabi feels the same presence and strikes to his left, hitting Compress. Midoriya lifts his arms to shield himself from the attack, and suddenly, claws cut through the metal wrist restraints and leather straps, giving him a chance to escape. Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki surround the eyes in the middle of the room. For turning us against one another, Shigaraki declares. You'll pay with your life, Toga adds. Foolish beings you are. You're in my way. Life drain. Shigaraki commands as all three rush in to attack while Midoriya makes his escape. Just as he sees heroes approaching, he faints from blood loss on the sidewalk. Who should catch him but All Might? Time to go home, brave hero, All Might says as Kirishima puts the ring on Midoriya. Bakugo approaches. When we get back, you're coming clean about what happened back then, All Might. Once Recovery Girl has Midoriya in her care, Bakugo steps outside the nurse's office to talk. Alright, it's time everyone learns the truth. What really happened to Deku? Rumors say he jumped off the middle school roof because of a slime villain attacking me. No one got to help him until the last moment. Everyone in class gathers to listen, alongside the teachers and Nizu. I rescued him from the slime villain. All Might begins. Once Midoriya woke up, I was going to leave him since he was alright. But when I jumped away, he grabbed me. That's when the villain in the bottle escaped. We talked on a roof nearby, and I said something I shouldn't have. I said that without a quirk, he couldn't become a hero. His face was a ghost of what it once was. As I walked to the roof access door, I heard the fence move. I turned around to find him standing on the other side. I ran to him, but when Midoriya ripped his notebook in half, I was distracted by my autograph flying away. He was so excited when I signed it, only for the paper to fly away in the wind. I only came to when he thanked me for freeing him and proving someone right. Thank you for freeing me from a pointless dream and for proving him right. Now he won't have to worry anymore. He'll take your place as number one because I can't be used against him by villains, Midoriya had said. As I reached for him, Midoriya took the plunge and fell 8 stories below. I called for an ambulance, and that's when I found out about young Bakugo being attacked. To save them both, I had to save Bakugo first and hope Midoriya could hang in there. After saving Bakugo, I went back and didn't see him, only blood from where he fell. I called every hospital and soon found him under the care of Dr. Garaki. Wait, the Garaki? He works for AFO, Nizu interjects. Midoriya might have gotten his quirk from him, but why would he come here? All Might wonders. A spy, maybe, Aizawa suggests. I doubt that, Nizu replies. Did anyone see the condition those three were in when we found them? Sure, Midoriya had deep cuts, but Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki were drained and covered in blood. Recovery Girl said, it's more than just cuts. Midoriya has burns, stab wounds, and blood drained from him. Those scratches also had a toxin that increased pain tenfold. It's a miracle he lived. Bakugo replied, that checks his story about it hunting him. Aizawa added, probably one of AFO's minions. If that's the case, we'll have to protect him. Aizawa continued, now that we know he isn't working for AFO, we need to ensure his safety and keep him under watch. Nizu agreed, so it's settled. Izuku Midoriya is hereby placed under house arrest, with his friends assigned as guards. Aizawa left to retrieve one of his scarves from class storage. Bakugo, you're on night shift with me. Mike will teach during the day, and I'll ensure you aren't left behind. Deku, Bakugo muttered. Aizawa smirked. Yes, we all know about your beauty rest, Mr. Early Bird. Kirishima stood outside the nurse's office while Aizawa went to secure Izuku to his bed. As the scarf wrapped around one of Izuku's wrists to form loose restraints, his quirk began to envelop him in a veil of black mist, causing the lights above to flicker. His fingers rubbed the ring and spun the centerpiece as his body shook and thrashed violently. With heavy breaths, he began to cry out in pain, his body contorting up from the bed. Kirishima asked, so what did you whisper to Midoriya in the bathroom? The last thing I heard when you had him pinned against the wall was. Izuku responded, is that right, Kaken? Why do you think that? Bakugo snapped, that's none of your concern. It's between me and him. Are you jealous of the nerd? What? Don't be raidy. Suddenly, Izuku screamed, Before Kirishima could react, Bakugo burst in. Aizawa explained, I've tried to cancel that pesky quirk barrier around him, but every time I do, the lights shatter. This brat is a pain to take down. Bakugo asked, do any lights shatter when it's up? No, in fact, his quirk restricts his thrashing, but it's putting strain on his body. Seeing the nosebleed, Bakugo held Izuku's hand. Deku, wake up, you DMN nerd. While asleep, Izuku experienced flashbacks so traumatic that he physically reacted in fear. He heard the crunch of his bones, the splat of his organs being punctured, and the sound of blood pouring out onto the cement, with his breaths growing more shallow. I'm sorry for making you cry, Mom. I wish I could have been the son you wanted. One that was strong enough to make you proud. Kaken, thank you for being my friend. Izuku's eyes began to close slowly, catching sight of a man in a suit walking toward him. Poor child. No one around to help you in your time of need? Here, let me be the one you reach for. Izuku replied weakly, I've lost. Dream. Never meet your heroes. They'll always break your heart. So let's get back at him. After all, he's the reason you're about to die, right? Izuku smacked the man's hand away, but the man grinned. So you actually do have a quirk. One that would be powerful in my hands. I must have you at any cost. The sounds of beeping woke Midoriya to a horrible sight. Strapped down to a bed without a shirt or breathes, his body covered in bandages. His childhood doctor walked in. So you're finally awake. Now we can make use of your quirk. When I tell you what quirks I have, you'll tell me what can go together without any drawbacks. Simply think what you want to say, and I'll be able to read it on the monitor above your head. Don't try to trick us, because what you choose will be used on you. Now let us begin your rebirth as a high-end Nomu. Different quirks had to be administered in various ways. Cuts, breathing gas, injections, and even limbs cut off to be regrown. Nothing was off limits. The only thing Izuku kept saying after 3 months was wishing for death. Without overthinking, he pointed to 6 quirk vials in a desperate attempt to escape. Everything went black for a moment before the doctor's voice was heard. I'm sorry, we lost him. Don't worry, I'll extract the quirks and we'll feed him to the grunt Nomus. No one will know. In what felt like an out-of-body experience, Midoriya felt himself break free and go after the doctor. After attacking the doctor, Izuku saw a shadow coming for him. He took the ring that prevented Nomus from attacking and ran away. Bakugo grabbed the scarf and began to pull it off Izuku. Aizawa warned, "What do you think you're doing? I should be asking you the same thing. You're a teacher, not a warden. Can't you see what's happening? The moment you began to restrain him, this happened and now he's..." Aizawa moved his scarf to throw Bakugo across the room. "That's a warning. Try to free him again, and I'll teach you a lesson. Midoriya is an unknown. If AFO decides to use him, we're in trouble because there's more to him than he's telling us. Is that your gut talking or paranoia?" Aizawa ordered, "Stand guard outside." "That's an order." Bakugo balled up his fists, waiting to strike his teacher and free Izuku, but Kirishima pulled him away. Kirishima said, "Come on, man. Let's defuse the anger and protect Midoriya, okay?" This isn't over," Bakugo replied as they walked out. Izuku woke up and reached towards the door, but at that moment, Aizawa took advantage and bound Izuku's wrists to the bed, limiting his range to 20 feet around the room. "Mr. Aizawa? I take it you found out?" Izuku asked. "You're safe. We have guards posted at the door. You are not to leave this room without being accompanied by a teacher and 2 students." "So I'm a prisoner yet again," Izuku muttered to himself as he sat up, forcing a smile to hide his sorrow. Aizawa sat in the corner of the room, wrapped up for a nap. "If you need anything, wake me up, okay?" "Why not, yeah," Izuku replied as he laid down to rest. Suddenly, he heard a voice from the shadows call out to him. "You think you can keep me away? How foolish. I'm a part of you after all." Izuku put a pillow over his ears and laid down. Meanwhile, Bakugo punched the wall across from the nurse's office. "That guy has Deku bound up like a villain." Kirishima responded, "I know his way of handling this is harsh, but Mr. Aizawa is trying to keep everyone safe. We'd be able to guard him better if he was in class. Not isolated like he has the plague." Bakugo shouted. Kirishima looked at him. "You love him, don't you? What the hell are you going on about?" Bakugo snapped. "Don't lie to me. Be honest with me. You only started opening up when he showed up, and you're concerned for how he's being treated." Bakugo pinned Kirishima to the wall, their gazes locked. Kirishima noticed that Bakugo's eyes were watering. "The only one I love is you. He's just a friend. My very first friend who's had my back for years. I used to have his, but then I tried to push him away to keep him safe." Tears began to swell in Bakugo's eyes. Kirishima acted quickly and kissed him. Bakugo froze at Kirishima's advance. Kirishima flipped it so Bakugo now had his back against the wall, flustered. "Thank you for opening up. That's all I wanted." As Kirishima leaned in for another kiss, Bakugo muttered, "I used to love him long ago. I guess I'm a sucker for a appealing smile." Kirishima backed away, processing what he just heard. "Let's keep watch. Let me go get us something to eat then. Maybe even some coffee." "That'd be great. Thanks, man." The moment Bakugo was out of Kirishima's sight, he wiped the sweat from his palms in guilt. "I'm such an idiot. I shouldn't have told him about how Deku was my crush. Now it'll only cause trouble moving forward." 3 months later, the day had come. After 3 months of isolation, Izuku graduated. From UA. Now he was free to work at the hospital and wander the halls freely. As Izuku walked on stage as the valedictorian, he began to speak. "Thank you for the fond memories you've all given me. Whether it was Denki trying to sneak me video games, Kirishima keeping me up to date about everyone, Uraraka showing me some self-defense moves, Ida helping me study, or Kaken trying to sneak me out. You all made this the best time of my life. I just wish I had more time with you." Izuku began to tear up and lifted his fist high. "I wish you all the best, but now it's my turn to go beyond. Plus ultra," the class cheered. With the first big smile everyone but Bakugo had seen from him, Izuku walked off stage. Classmates felt bad about how the teachers had treated him, so before Izuku could run away, everyone piled into a group hug, except for Bakugo, who stood at the door. "Oi, Deku!" Bakugo called out. Izuku looked up from the crowd around him. Everyone pushed him toward Bakugo. "What is it, Kaken?" Bakugo handed Izuku a list of everyone's numbers. Since you didn't get much time with everyone, this way you can stay in touch? Ah, Softy Mina teased. Shut it, Pinky. You're not the only one who's upset about what happened. One last thing before you leave. Bakugo held out his fist. When I become number 1, I need the number 1 doctor to treat me. You think you can take the title? Izuku nodded and bumped Bakugo's fist before setting out into the world. Outside, Izuku ran into Aizawa by his ride. Without a word spoken, Izuku walked past him, giving a light tap on Aizawa's shoulder. Izuku set out to be the best doctor in the nation. By the time everyone else graduated, he had accomplished that title. On the first night without the students walking the halls, Aizawa walked through the school to reflect on them. Those kids. I'm so proud of them. Suddenly, he heard a noise from the nurse's office. He went to check it out, greeted by pitch blackness in the room. One last prank left behind from Denki, I see, he sighed. As Aizawa went to flip the switch, the lights didn't turn on. DMN brats. They can be such a handful sometimes. With a smile, it soon changed. How long were you gonna keep me waiting? I'm so hungry. Aizawa's eyes widened, and he used his quirk to look into the darkness. You can't cancel what you can't see. You're right. Aizawa threw a flashbang grenade into the room and looked away, shielding himself from the light. He heard the pop and, after a few moments, opened his eyes, only to find himself in total darkness. Nice try, but I can absorb light. Bright yellowish-green eyes met his gaze at point-blank range, accompanied by a childlike giggle. Fangs bared, the figure opened its mouth to eat. The next day, Nizu found the mess of broken lights and a scorch mark on the floor beside an empty flashbang. The wall outside the nurse's office is cracked, and there's a trail of blood on the floor. Hanging by the broken window is Aizawa's scarf, soaked in blood. With no one around, Nizu sends out a missing person report, prompting all of his former hero students to search for him. Aizawa wakes up in darkness, his arms bound above his head and legs dangling. Confused, he recalls the events leading to his current state. A faceless beast had attacked him, tearing through his scarf to reach his throat. The sensation of losing strength overwhelms him, followed by sharp pain throughout his body. He struggles in vain, but his efforts feel futile. In a desperate move, he pulls out a flashbang, but the beast slams him through the wall, shattering the window beside him. Blood clouds his vision, and breathing becomes difficult. In a final attempt, he pulls the pin on the flashbang. The sudden light forces the monster to retreat into the shadows. Aizawa uses his scarf to slide down from the broken window, landing in the shadow of the building. Just as he regains his bearings, laughter echoes around him. Heavy footsteps approach, accompanied by a metallic sound. So you actually survived. That means you've been chosen. 1 down, 6 more to go, but first, pain is needed. So, shall we get started? A blade glimmers in the darkness, dangerously close to his left eye. Meanwhile, at UA, fresh hero graduates search the campus for their old teacher. Bakugo and Kirishima search the halls, while Shoto teams up with Ida, Sway, Uraraka, and Tokoyami in the dorms. Aoyama, Koda, Shoji, Denki, Siro, and Momo check classrooms. Jiro, Shinso, Mina, and Minette search the cafeteria and library. Bakugo spots the damage ahead and rushes to the nurse's office for clues. Kirishima decides to check below for any trails. I'm heading down to take a look below. Maybe there's a trail to follow, he says. Bakugo nods. Right? Meet me back here once you find something. Kirishima jumps down and discovers drops of blood and a small tuft of brown curly hair, along with a gold button shaped like a diamond. As he heads back, the wind blows the hair away. Instead of reporting it to Bakugo, Kirishima keeps his findings a secret and pockets the button. Back in the darkness, Aizawa clings to life, enduring excruciating pain. The monster forces him to make eye contact. Do you want the pain to go away, or shall I deal more? It taunts. Aizawa, defiant, responds, if you're gonna kill me, get it over with already. The beast grins, very well, drink your pain away. An unknown liquid begins to flow into Aizawa's mouth, eyes, ears, and nose. I'll be leaving now. Farewell, Shota Aizawa. Gasping for air, Aizawa struggles against his restraints. With his last bit of strength, he breaks free and crawls toward the wall, following it to the door, which thankfully isn't locked. Fading in and out of consciousness, he manages to reach the street. The moment he steps into the light, the sensation of drowning dissipates. Just before passing out, he sees Endeavor approaching. "Hey, are you what the?" Aizawa gasps. "Don't put me in the dark." Endeavor scoops him up and flies to a nearby hospital. "I don't know who did this, but we'll find them. No one hurts a hero and gets away with it." Elsewhere, Kirishima returns to meet Bakugo but notices something strange, a black shadow near the doorknob of All Might's office. As he looks closer, he sees eyes staring back at him. "Oh, Siri, too late, hero." The door clicks shut before an explosion rocks the area, catching Kirishima in the blast. He attempts to use his quirk, but the explosion shatters it before he can protect himself. As Izuku wipes sweat from his brow after attending to another patient, he steps outside to find Endeavor arguing with a nurse. "What do you mean he has to wait? I have a hero here who's about to die." Izuku rushes over to see Aizawa's condition. "Nurse, I need my trauma team now. We can't wait any longer." The nurse protests. "But sir, we're a first-come, first-served hospital." Izuku insists, "No, we aren't. The policy is greatest injuries first. When I finish with him, I'm reporting you unless you get me my team right now." Moments later, Aizawa is rushed for surgery. As he is taken back, gas and oxygen are administered to put him to sleep. As he drifts off, a 20-sided die falls from his hand, rolling to land on one. The moment Aizawa entered the pitch-black surgical room, Izuku got started healing and mapping out wounds for his team to treat. Since it was dark, his team used night vision goggles to assist them. The black water from the enemy began to show itself, scattering away from Aizawa because of Izuku's quirk. One bubble landed on Izuku's shoes and blended in. That was about the time Aizawa flatlined for a moment. Izuku kept his focus on Aizawa's heart and lungs until the blood transfusion took effect, saving his life. Once stable, Izuku backed away. "Alright, he's in the clear, but just in case, keep him in the ICU for observation. We need to ensure that infection doesn't set in or that there's no rejection of the new blood." With that order, the team obeyed and wheeled Shota out of surgery. Izuku sighed, finally. Now maybe I can rest for a bit. Dr. Midoriya, we need you ready for another trauma patient. It's another hero severely injured." "No rest again, I see. Alright, bring them in." Izuku was surprised to see Kirishima being rolled in, shrapnel embedded in his body and burns indicating an explosive had taken him out. With his team occupied with Aizawa, Izuku used his quirk to heal Kirishima, prioritizing the worst injuries first. This became his most delicate and longest surgery yet. Outside the surgery room, Bakugo sat with worry. As time passed, his tapping foot turned into pacing around the room. He listened for the sound of the light above the door turning off. After 5 hours, Bakugo's stress was about to burst. Then it happened, the sound he'd been awaiting. Seal click. With a squeak of the doors, Izuku walked out in his protective gear, blood droplets splattered across him. "Nurse, he's ready for a room," Izuku said, beginning to explain Kirishima's condition. As Bakugo approached, Izuku started to leave. "Oi, what happened?" "Sir, please calm down. I'll explain everything," the nurse interjected. "No, I want to hear it from him. Trying to run away like a coward, I see." Izuku kept walking, turning left down another hallway. Seeing this, Bakugo ignored the nurse's attempts to inform him and chased after Izuku. When Bakugo turned down the hallway, he noticed a laundry bin with Izuku's PP in it. As he approached, he saw a sign on a nearby door, "On call staff rooms and showers." Bakugo walked inside to find multiple bunk beds lining the walls and cubbies for clothes by another door. Each bed had a safe for valuables, a pillow, white sheets, light blue covers, and a privacy door with a light bulb inside. Halfway into the room, he heard a shower running behind the door. He walked up to see Izuku's suit hanging out of another bin by the door. The door was cracked, so Bakugo peeked in. His anger and worry faded as he felt his face heat up. What kind of workout does a doctor like him need to get that bod? Bakugo muttered under his breath as he stepped inside. Izuku turned around, eyes closed, hands working through the suds in his hair. Bakugo's gaze traveled over Izuku's body, unable to look away. Just as Izuku's hands began to drift down his torso, Bakugo slipped on a towel. He caught himself before falling but couldn't prevent his shoes from squeaking. Izuku turned to see Bakugo blushing and frozen in place. Not knowing what else to do, Izuku stood tall and backed against the wall of the shower. Soon they were both under the water, eye to eye. Bakugo looked down into Izuku's eyes. As Izuku reached for the emergency fall string to call for help, Bakugo grabbed his wrist and pinned it to the wall. "Kaken!" Izuku exclaimed. Bakugo crashed his lips into Izuku's, thoughts racing. What am I doing? I should be giving him a piece of my mind, but after seeing him like this, I can't help myself. Izuku wrapped his free arm around Bakugo, clenching his fingers into the fabric of Bakugo's shirt. With a kiss back, Izuku let out a soft sound. They pulled away, and Bakugo ripped his shirt off. Izuku undressed his lower half, and their gazes met again, both feeling the intensity of the moment. Meanwhile, Kirishima began to wake up to the sound of a nurse talking to Todoroki, Kaminari, Shiro, and Mina. Both heroes are in the same room for security reasons. It's easier to guard them if they're together, the nurse explained. Who was the one who ordered their protection? Mina asked. Dr. Midoriya did. He said the quirk user that attacked them he knows personally. He also said that the Nomu won't stop until they're dead. As everyone talked outside the room, Kirishima opened his eyes to see a creature sitting on his chest. Hee-hee-ha-ha. The beast moved across from him, pulling back the curtain to reveal just how bad Aizawa's condition really was. With breathing and feeding tubes, Kirishima is being kept alive by machines. He reaches for the call button on his bed but is too weak to move. All he can do is watch as his old teacher is unplugged and taken away by a shadowy figure before vanishing. That's when the alarms go off, prompting the nurse to rush in. Oh no, she exclaims, using her radio to call for security. We have a patient missing from life support. Send out to local hero agencies. We need backup. Elsewhere, Izuku is drying off while Bakugo sits curled up in the shower. What have I done? Bakugo mutters, panic rising in his voice. Izuku begins to get dressed in pajamas, and the silence between them is soon broken. Listen, nerd, if you tell anyone about what just happened. Bakugo warns. You'll kill me? Izuku replies. I'll not only kill you. I'll make it a slower death than what that thing did to you. Izuku remains silent, opening the door to the hallway filled with beds. Bakugo takes a shower, trying to wash away the feelings of what they've just experienced. Suddenly, the lights flicker. Aizawa, sir? How is this possible? Izuku exclaims. Bakugo looks down to see something shiny on the shower floor. He picks it up and realizes it's Izuku's ring, which he had accidentally slipped off during their earlier encounter. Sure, Bakugo starts, but is interrupted by a scream from Izuku. Deku! In an instant, Bakugo wraps a towel around his waist and rushes out into a pitch-black hallway, the flickering lights creating an eerie strobe effect. In the dim light, he sees Aizawa holding Izuku captive. What the hell, Teach? Bakugo shouts. This is impossible. Your condition is too. Izuku starts, but Aizawa covers his mouth, grinning as a dark aura surrounds him. Finally. I have you, Midoriya. It's time to come home, Aizawa says. You aren't getting away that easily. Bakugo yells, his determination igniting. He charges forward, but Aizawa uses Izuku as a shield. The radio in Izuku's room crackles to life. We have a patient missing from life support. Send out to local hero agencies. We need backup. It's Shota Aizawa, so please be cautious. Bakugo stops in surprise. Were you the villain who attacked Yue? He calls out. Hihei. Aizawa laughs and Bakugo unleashes a powerful blast at the dark aura. Did you attack both Teach and Kirishima? Bakugo demands. They were in the way of my true targets. Bakugo's rage boils over. You beach. The creature cackles as it begins to fade with Izuku. Izuku screams, struggling to break free. Bakugo unleashes blast after blast at the dark figure, but when the smoke clears, Izuku remains unharmed in its grasp. Say bye-bye, Midoriya, the creature taunts playfully. Izuku's muffled screams echo as they fade away, but just before disappearing he manages to shout, "Kaken, light isn't its weakness. Look for the re." The moment Izuku is gone, Bakugo punches the wall in frustration. Damn it. He looks down at the ring and gets dressed to leave. Maybe you'll be the clue to that monster's defeat. He clutches the ring tightly and heads to see Kirishima, only to be stopped at the door by the police. Fortunately, Bakugo spots Kirishima sitting up in bed, recounting what he saw. Kirishima catches Bakugo's expression of sorrow, anger, and regret. Bakugo then heads to Izuku's office on the top floor of the hospital to investigate. In the elevator, he encounters Shoto Todoroki. "Hey, Bakugo." "Shut it, Icy Hot. Not in the mood for your nonsense right now." Ida, who is behind Todoroki, notices the ring peeking out from Bakugo's hand. "You were about to propose to Kirishima? Congrats, Bakugo." Ida exclaims. "This isn't mine. Deku was captured by that thing," Bakugo replies. "Why would it kidnap Midoriya and Aizawa?" Shoto asks. "That's why I'm heading to his office," Bakugo says. "I know you aren't a team player, Bakugo. So let us be your extra eyes on this, please," Ida offers. "Do as you wish. I won't stop you." They arrive on the floor, and Bakugo forces open Izuku's office door, surprised to find it filled with All Might merchandise. As the three search for clues, Ida notices a pattern in the files. "I may have found something." On the paperwork of every hero Izuku has treated, there are 2 work numbers listed. One is different, but the other is the same for only hero patients, set as a code with a letter and a number separated by a dash. Bakugo recognizes the code and grabs a piece of paper to solve it. He writes the alphabet at the top and checks how each letter and number correspond. The code seems simple to him, while the other 2 look confused. "What are you doing?" Ida asks. "Each letter has a number before the dash. I'm using the number to go back or forward in the alphabet to discover what letter he's trying to relay. Luckily, the letters and numbers repeat, so this will be easy. I just need a few minutes to decode this." Shoto keeps watch at the door while Ida helps Bakugo, and after 10 minutes, it's solved. Beyond the silver veil stands the shadow before you. You need only to pierce through the veil to see what has been lost. My name, you ask? Well, rather than answer, I take heroes to fuel my hunger. Negativity keeps me here, waiting for you in the dark. Give me what has been lost. Bakugo, damn it, why riddles? Just give us the answer, nerd. Shoto, I think he did. Take a look at some of the letters. They're capitalized. Ida, okay, so silver is all capital, but why? Bakugo pulls out the ring and it clicks. All in sync, weakness. Bakugo, now we just have to figure out what a wraith is. Denki, we might be able to help with that. At that moment, Denki shows up pushing Kirishima in a wheelchair. Kirishima, I knew something was on your mind, so I asked Denki to help me escape for a moment to talk. Bakugo doesn't look at Kirishima but smiles softly. Thanks, babe. Denki, since I've played D&D with the guys before, I've had an experience with wraiths. Bakugo, why the hell are you talking about that game? Kirishima, some of the staff were talking, and we overheard that Mr. Aizawa was found gripping a 20-sided die. Plus, wraiths in D&D have silver as a weakness. Why else would Midoriya hint at it? Bakugo, fine, explain what it is. Denki pulls up his phone and begins to read straight from the monster manual, explaining that wraiths are ghostly phantoms of those who have died or are close to death. They can create up to 7 phantoms from people who have recently died a horrible death, controlling them to do as they wish. Sunlight weakens them, but at night or in dimly lit rooms, they can extinguish nearby lights while in the presence of a light source. As Denki explains, Kirishima searches for clues while pushing himself along. He spots one of Izuku's vests and notices the buttons match the one he found at the school. Kirishima, why was his button at the scene? Wait, is Midoriya the wraith, or is he being controlled by it? Either way, I've got to investigate more. Hey guys, I'll be right back. Recovery girl has a treatment for me to get better. Denki, want some assistance getting back? Nah man. I'll call a nurse if needed. You just figure out how to get Midoriya back. With that, Kirishima heads down to see Recovery Girl. Once treated, he's quickly released from the hospital. Instead of telling his friends upstairs, Kirishima walks out and calls Tamaki. Tamaki, hey, Red Riot. How's your recovery going? I heard you were attacked at school. I'm alright, but I need your help. Can you meet me at an address? Sure, I guess. Great, see you in a bit. Kirishima texts Tamaki Izuku's house address that he found in his records. While waiting outside for about an hour, Kirishima calls him. Hey man, where are you? Sorry, can't talk. Kinda busy. AFO escaped Tartarus prison and villains are trying to follow after him. The sounds on the other side indicate a huge battle before the call ends. Kirishima hears footsteps approaching and hides in the bushes. He peeks to see AFO walking up to the house with a key in hand. He opens the door and steps inside. Kirishima, what the hell is he doing here at Midoriya's home? After a minute or two, Kirishima walks in since the door was unlocked. He explores the main floor of the house and discovers a memorial for Izuku's mom, who passed away not long after Izuku started high school. Next to the stairs, he notices a door leading to the basement. AFO, there's no need to fight it any longer. You can't escape what's a part of you. Kirishima pulls out his phone to send a text to Bakugo, Siro, Denki, Mina, Tamaki, Fatgum, and Tetsu, requesting backup and the address. However, as he goes to turn the screen off, the message reads, "Message failed to send. No signal found." Kirishima doesn't see it and continues down to the basement. Kirishima walks down to see AFO standing over Izuku, who is lying on the ground gasping for air. The shadow fog appears to be trying to enter him by force. AFO, try as much as you can. It'll only exhaust you faster and cause more pain. Such a pathetic project you turned out to be. I gave you one mission, and you were too caught up playing doctor. Izuku thrashes around, trying to scream and desperately grabbing at the fog. Kirishima tightens his fists with rage as he watches Izuku crying and begging for help. Kirishima, I have to help him, but without backup, FO would kill us both. For now, I have to stand by. Just then, Izuku grits his teeth and begins to stand. FO, are you really gonna fight me? This should be entertaining. FO snaps his fingers, and everyone thought to have died in the league circles around them both. FO, I can only control 7, but Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki should be more than enough to make you comply. Izuku smirks and takes a deep breath, sking all of the fog inside. Izuku, you think you're the one controlling them? These quirks may have been yours at one point, but I was the one to actually emsir them. Like they say, user of many, but MSTR of none. Aizawa looks at AFO and cancels one of his quirks. Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki begin to strike at AFO. Dabi's flames force AFO against a wall. Toga strikes to push him into a corner. Shigaraki comes from below to force him to jump. AFO, out of all the quirks, why is my regeneration the one he's stopping? AFO starts to teleport them away, only to realize that they're a distraction. AFO looks up to see Izuku shrouded. Izuku, you're a nuisance. Time for you to go away. For good. Izuku grabbed AFO, and in that moment, Kirishima couldn't believe what he was seeing. A grip on AFO's face, Izuku caused him to bleed from his mouth, nose, eyes, and ears, just like the new hero killer. AFO began to age rapidly, turning into a husk. Kirishima started to back away, but as he tried to retreat, he tripped, causing a loud thud that alerted Izuku. Glancing at the stairs, Izuku saw Kirishima before he ran again. Get him, Izuku commanded. Kirishima dashed for the door, but just as he reached it, the fog encroached behind him. With only his middle finger making contact with the doorknob, Kirishima was violently pulled back into the basement with enough force that the wind gust slammed the door shut. Kirishima was dragged back into the basement and pinned against the wall by the fog. Izuku floated up to have direct eye contact with him, his eyes glowing a greenish yellow. So how did you find us? Kirishima gritted his teeth and turned his head away. The quiet game doesn't work on us. We will get answers, by any means necessary. From the fog, spikes grew and impaled Kirishima's hands and arms. Greah-ha! His screams released a white fog that only Izuku could see. Just as Izuku appeared to breathe in the fog, blood began to drip from his mouth. Looks like our time together is almost up. This vessel is about to expire. I'd better split to make more use of him before then. The black fog left Izuku and chained him to a chair beneath where Kirishima was pinned. So you're not working together? If that's the case, why was one of his vest buttons by the school? That fool wanted me out of him. He forced me out. Unfortunate for him, because the damage to him was greater than he anticipated. For years he's been sending codes asking for help, yet no one has ever come to his rescue. I use his hatred as fuel to seek revenge for him. Even at UA, no one tried to free him. Instead, you all watched him like a captured animal at the zoo. For him, UA was no different from AFO's labs. Izuku's raspy, weak voice called out, "You're wrong. Everyone is my friend. Even in chains, I had company that I knew wouldn't hurt me. Yet it was your plan to bomb All Might's office and attack Bakugo in the shower. Kaken followed me in and took advantage of my sleep-deprived state of mind. Now, there's no need to lie. Just admit that you still have a crush on him. You called out to me to carry you away before you could feed on his pain. Bakugo's guilt is the only reason you're still alive." Kirishima was in disbelief. "Did you and Bakubro really?" Izuku's head dropped. "Well, did you? Answer me, Midoriya." "Why? Yes." Kirishima began to cry tears of rage and conflicting emotions. That's when the beast fed on Kirishima's negative emotions like a banquet fit for a king. Izuku started to cry as his injuries began to heal. Meanwhile, Ida continued to search through the files in Izuku's office. That's when something interesting was discovered. "I found something you might want to see," Ida called out. Bakugo and Shoto rushed over to see Izuku's health records. "What the heck?" Bakugo exclaimed. "How's that possible?" Shoto added. "Record, DNA, no match blood type, A-B-O+ AB-." Izuku's blood type hadn't been the same since AFO captured him, nor had his DNA. Only Izuku's appearance had stayed the same. Izuku thought to himself, "Carrot, if I don't do something soon, it'll be too late to stop it." Carrot, as he was lost in thought, the fog reached up and pulled Kirishima's phone out of his pocket. "So you tried to request backup. Too bad for you, because it didn't go through. Tell you what though, I'll resend it. -2, of course. Let him go. I'll do anything. Just don't hurt anyone else," Izuku pleaded. As the monster sent out a text from Kirishima's phone, he turned to Izuku and tilted his head. "Oh, I wasn't the one hurting people. It was all because you are too weak." The beast used a tie from a nearby clothes bin to GG Izuku before he could help Kirishima escape. Frantic screams and thrashing around did nothing to help them at that moment. The monster created 2 new spinning shadow drill spikes that headed directly for Kirishima. Meanwhile, Bakugo looked through paperwork, only to stop when he heard his, Shoto's, and Ida's phones buzz with a message from Kirishima's number. "Guys?" Ida asked. "It's him," Bakugo replied. They all gathered around to read the messages. Shoto's phone, "Midoriya needs medical attention. Please help. We're planned to be killed within the hour." Ida's phone, "Midoriya needs medical attention. Please help. We're planned to be killed within 30 minutes. Bakugo's phone, "Babe, please help. We need you right now. It's only a matter of time. We're at Midoriya's house. Come alone." "What now?" "We all got different times to arrive," Shoto said. "Sounds like he wants us separated," Bakugo replied. "That's not an option. We're talking about a hero killer here." Ida insisted. "Which is why we're going together. Hang in there, babe. I'm coming to save you." As the boys headed out, Izuku trembled, sensing no emotion from Kirishima. Blood appeared to be dripping onto him from above. Izuku cried quietly, his mind shattered. "Such a shame I can't feed off you. The misery you're feeling would be so delicious. Now the finale can commence." Time isn't exactly on our side right now, but I'm sure you're well aware of that, aren't you? With no response, the shadow chuckled and engulfed the house, hiding in the corners. Bakugu was the first at the door. He opens it, and the three separate to search faster and sweep the house. Todoroki searches the main floor, Ida is upstairs, and Bakugu heads to the basement. The monster swiftly passes by Ida. When Ida turns around to look, he hears Aizawa's voice. Tinya, why are you here? Ida turns around and speaks, I'm here to save you. He's cut off when shadows draw near him. The monster glides behind Todoroki, but before he can completely turn around, blue flames flare up in his blind spot, along with two other sets of red eyes. Meanwhile, Bakugu is on guard. Through the darkness, the sounds of dripping ring out. I'm here like you asked. So where are my extras? Bakugu sees a dim light ahead. As he gets closer, the sight becomes clear. Kirishima is tied to a chair, and Midoriya is above him, arms out with shadow spikes impaled in his forearms, hands, feet, torso, and tiny ones like a crown in his skull. Bakugu stops in horror at what he's seeing. Kirishima lifts his head, tears in his eyes and gagged with a rag tied around his head. In a whispery muffle, Kirishima attempts to talk. Bakugu rushes over to his side. Babe. The moment the GG is off and Kirishima is freed, he collapses into Bakugu's arms. Bakugu begins to cry. You idiot. Why do this alone? Aren't we a team? White fog appears by Kirishima's mouth. As Ida walks up to Aizawa, the scarf is thrown as his hair rises from quirk use. Dabi, Toga, and Shigaraki charge in to ambush Todoroki. Kirishima smirks, we would be a team if you hadn't messed things up. Kirishima's body changes form, transforming into Izuku. That's when Bakugu finds himself pinned down with his arms behind his back, and Izuku on top of him. As Bakugu flinches to attack, he sees that Izuku's eyes have turned red, and his hair is standing up. What the hell, Deku? You really just asked that? Well, I shouldn't be surprised. You've always ignored your own flaws. Rest assured, all will be revealed in time. No one else has to die, as long as I claim my prizes without any trouble. I would have taken my time if I had any to spare, but time isn't something I can waste. What are you going on about? In the blink of an eye, shadows swallow him whole. Half an hour passes before Bakugu wakes up in a new location, the morgue of the hospital where Izuku had worked. Bakugu's calm demeanor changes when he sees the situation he's in. A chair furthest from the only entrance. Izuku sits there using a bound and gagged Todoroki as a footstool, Ida as his armrest on the left, and Bakugu on the right. All struggle for a moment before realizing their quirks aren't responding. Morning, little ones. Time for my television reveal. So sit still and enjoy the show. Bakugu looks around the room and sees Dabi and the others with red eyes and lifted hair. Sheet, they're like a hive mind. Wait, that gives me an idea. The camera cuts on, and everyone is glued to the news feed. All Might is told by Nizu to watch. That's when he sees the situation. Hello everyone. I have an announcement to make. The hero killer that everyone has been chasing is me. I've also done some good though. All for One is dead. Izuku lifts up AFO's head to the camera. Does this mean it's Evan? To the heroes, the answer is no. So I'd like to make a deal. Only 2 lives for the price of 2 young heroes. One of my targets is already here. The other target is the one who started it all. You know who you are. I'll be waiting, Sensei. The feed cuts, and Endeavor is beside All Might, fists balled with rage and helplessness. Calm down, we'll get them back. I can't lose another son. Please, All Might. Tears of worry threaten to spill out. Elsewhere, Bakugu puts up a fight. Wrists bound in front of him, he stands up to punch Izuku but is tripped just before impact. Shadows wrapped around his ankle lift him before throwing him into some autopsy tables nearby. Ida shakes off the cloth to speak. Why do this, Midoriya? Surely the real you doesn't want this. The real me. Bakugu frees himself and charges at Izuku. Damn it, nerd. Fight back. Gain control again. He can't anymore. Shadows ensnare Bakugu and pin his hands to the wall. I warned you about putting up a fight. Now they'll pay for your actions, Bakugu. Bakugu sees Izuku's hands reach for Ida. Wait, kill me, not them. Let them go and I'll surrender. Bakugu, don't. Wait for help. There's no one coming for us. We're on our own. Remember Eri? The pros only do what won't hurt them. That's not true, and you know that. The three captives look at the door to see All Might, who came alone. I am here as part of your deal. So let them go, young Midoriya. Izuku licks his lips and throws Ida and Shoto out of the room before locking the door. Shoto's GG falls off just before the door shuts. Be careful, sir. Ida frees them both so they can get back up. That's when Dabi, Toga, Aizawa, and Shigaraki block their way out. As the two heroes prepare to fight, Dabi is punched out cold by a metal fist. Shigaraki is slammed against a wall by tentacles. Toga is absorbed into fat, leaving Aizawa to face Mike. Bakugu is released from the shadow's grip as Izuku begins to laugh and cry hysterically. I can't believe it was this easy. Young Midoriya? Izuku stops, as if SWH controls his emotions. He reaches into his pocket to pull something out, causing Bakugu and All Might to ready for an attack. I'll give you both a fair chance. Simply roll these. 2d20s are thrown at them. Since All Might has been weakened and can't really use his quirk, you roll with disadvantage. Bakugu, however, has advantage. Why is that? Bakugu asks. Izuku's eyes shift colors, and his hair returns to normal. I can only use others' abilities and the hive mind for so long. All Might rolls the dice, getting a natural 20, and Izuku flickers and ends up behind All Might. Such a shame. You were so close. Farewell, sir. Just before All Might is attacked, Bakugu knocks Izuku away. All Might sees that Bakugu rolled an 18 and, you're not taking another life. Daifai. A blast to the face sends Izuku through the wall to where everyone else is. Bakugu gives chase but stops when he sees Kirishima's body. What the? Oh, that Bizarre is gonna pay for this. A dark aura fills the room as Shigaraki's body transforms into Izuku and breaks free to run. Dabi wakes up and gives chase to shield him. Aizawa tries to follow but is stopped by another scarf. You're not going anywhere, sir, Shinso says. At that moment, Eri walks up to Aizawa, her horn glowing as she lays her hands on him. Bakugu, Tetsu, and Tamaki pursue Izuku. Toga attempts to break free, but even her knives can't penetrate Fatgum's defenses. All Might looks at Shoto and Ida. Help me catch up to them. I'll assist with what energy I have left. Ida carries All Might on his back while Shoto uses his fire to propel himself forward. Izuku runs outside into the sunlight, and Dabi hands over his coat to shield him from the light while staying behind to stop Shoto and Tamaki. As Izuku looks back and sees them pursuing him, he notices a window cleaner nearby and shoots a shadow to cut the support wire. Ida sees this and hands All Might to Tetsu before rushing to rescue the person in need. Izuku then runs into the old shipyard and into an abandoned warehouse, blending into the shadows to hide. Bakugu enters first. Sheet, it's too dark to see a DMN thing. Tetsu flips a light SWH, and the place lights up. I thought the point of abandoned buildings was to be, abandoned. Something isn't right here, Bakugu replies. Shadows appear and break the lights. A loud hiss echoes and heads for them. All Might powers up his fist to push it back. We have to retreat. In Bakugu's mind, a map of the building pops up, and Tetsu and All Might see it too. In the middle room, there's a blood splatter effect. Bakugu smirks and darts in that direction. Thanks for the hint, moron. Bakugu closes his eyes to listen for a change in the air, dodging every attack the monster throws with acrobatic ease while Tetsu protects them with All Might blasting away the attacks. As Bakugu charges in, the monster tries everything to stop him, leaving only a few scratches. Stop right where you are. Is that fear in your voice I hear? What is it you don't want us to see in here? Bakugu reaches the door and charges up a blast to break it down. The lights cut on, revealing the monster shielding the door with its body. I surrender. Bakugu is caught off guard and stops mid-attack. Are you serious, man? Why now of all times? Tetsu asks. All Might steps forward to reach for the doorknob. I wouldn't do that. The explosives hooked to this door will destroy everything in a city block. Now you care about lives? There's something you're hiding and I'm gonna find out. I'm giving myself up under the condition that no one tries to enter or look inside that room. Think wisely about it. A hero killer is imprisoned. In exchange, you keep a door shut. You can't get a better deal than that. Forget you. Bakugo charges his fist to attack when suddenly a pulse hits everyone, canceling their quirks. Bakugo feels weak and queasy for a moment. What was that? Tetsu asks. A self-protection system the room has. For 30 minutes, it'll send pulses if quirks are used near the door to protect what's inside, giving you enough time for the police to arrest me. He holds his arms out in front. All Might uses the moment to cuff him. There's still good inside you, young man. Cheap words coming from you. I still hate you both for what happened that day. As the police escort him away, his eyes appear filled with rage, but a closer look reveals sorrow and tears swelling within. One last thing before I go. How did you all manage to navigate through a pitch-black building that you've never entered before? Well, it was you, right? You gave us a mental map image with the blood stain, right? Izuku's eyes darken as he looks down before quickly glancing back at the door, muttering to himself too low for anyone to hear, was that your last-ditch effort? How pitiful. He grits his teeth and fists before being carried away. Once in the van, he's driven off. Bakugo falls to his knees, bowing his head so no one can see him crying. Damn it. I was too slow to save him. Memories of Kirishima flood his mind before drifting into his last night with him. Kiri, hey man? When we graduate, do you want to get married? Dumps, do you really need to ask? Hee hee. Bakugo laid his head on Kirishima's chest as they relaxed together. His thoughts drifted back to the hospital shower with Izuku and the words that lingered in his mind. I trust you to be the one to make the choice. Frustrated, Bakugo punched the door, revealing the silver color beneath the dust. 3 days later, Bakugo sat beside Kirishima in the hospital, where Aizawa's bed was nearby. Mike, Shinso, and Eri were also present. Why? Bakugo asked, his voice strained. The families and loved ones would want to, Shinso started. It's a waste of her power if it's not gonna bring them back. Open caskets ain't shit compared to them being alive. Bakugo shouted. Mike replied gently, she tried to bring them back, but there's no cure for death. Bakugo stormed out as the mortician entered to take Kirishima away. Shinso moved to follow, but Eri stopped him. I know you want to help him, but he needs time to himself. After all, tears don't fall while others watch. Mike patted their heads, offering comfort. As Denki, Siro, and Mina walked into the hospital, Bakugo exited. Hey, man. Denki called. Denki. See that look in his eyes? He's on a mission, and nothing will stand in his way, Mina warned. I'd hate to be the one to get in his way, Siro added. Bakugo's eyes burned with determination as he headed to Tartarus prison. After clearing all safety checkpoints, he met up with All Might to question Midoriya. The cell was brightly lit, leaving no shadows. Midoriya was suspended by chains, a muzzle mask tightly fastened around his face. He glared at the one-sided mirror, seeing only his reflection. You have visitors, Midoriya. The beep from his muzzle released the front piece, allowing him to speak. Visitors? Oh, lucky me. All Might said, we have some questions for you. Care to answer them? I can't exactly refuse you, what with me in here and your heroes ready to open that room. Bakugo leaned against the wall, watching Midoriya with a mix of anger and curiosity. All Might had papers in hand but set them aside. What happened to you? Don't give me the story you fed us before. Bullshit? I'm sorry you think of my past that way. Let me share the full picture unfiltered then. Deku's POV. You already know what you both did that day. Between Kaken telling me to jump off a roof and All Might saying my dreams are impossible without a quirk, I thought my life had no future. That step off the roof was the freest I've ever felt. I lay there, bleeding from broken bones, and saw you running away. You wouldn't even stay to comfort me. I had to save Bakugo from the slime villain before an ambulance could get to you. You could have asked Endeavor for help. Heroes aren't just fighters. They're supposed to keep people calm in their time of need. You failed at that, and I was kidnapped during my time of need. Tears streamed down Deku's face. That doctor. He did so much to me. Could you imagine being strapped down, unable to talk or move? He stopped the bleeding by sawing the bones that came out of my skin, patched up my wounds, and performed surgery while I was still awake. After that, I could only communicate through a computer screen. I was used to make the perfect quirk. The doctor tried different ways to give me quirks, even violating me for samples. I tried to end my life again, only to end up in this situation. Bakugo interrupted, that doesn't explain what I found in your office. Why did your DNA and blood type keep changing? Isn't it obvious? Put 2 and 2 together, Bakugo. The locked room, all the changes, how the code said, Wraith. Silence fell before Bakugo saw a flicker of realization. I'll see you both again real soon. Third-person POV. Bakugo looked as if he had seen a ghost and ran out, with All Might following. What is it, young Bakugo? I have to see it for myself. We can't get in that room. Only he knows how to open the door safely. Other heroes and police have confirmed explosives by the door. I noticed something when he was arrested. He glared at the door like he was angry when he was told about the mental map. Wait, so the Midoriya we were just talking to isn't the real one, but the quirk combo he picked to seek help. As the muzzle locked back on, light shone in Midoriya's mouth and nose once more. The power is cut, releasing him from his mechanical shackles. The black fog moves away from the body, leaving Shigaraki behind as it takes the vents out. A police officer by the power panels looks worried. I hope you can stop him. If you can't, then we have made a huge mistake letting him go. All Might calls a crew to help fight and rescue the real Midoriya, while Bakugo flies them to the location to meet up and stake out the room. Who did you ask to back us up? They'd better not be weak, Bakugo says. I got 2 heroes that can use silver. If anything, they can hold his attention for you to finish the job. You don't mean those 2? Bakugo smirks, popping his knuckles to show how ready he is to fight. Hell yeah. After a few minutes, Tetsu and Tamaki arrive, ready for battle. They all hide behind a metal storage system, watching the door quietly in hopes that he'll show. Are you sure he'll show? I mean, he probably could figure out our play, Tetsu asks. There's one part he won't expect, Tamaki replies nervously, as he knows he is the star of the performance. As the sun begins to set, they hear rustling coming down the hall. With a gulp, Tamaki readies to act. The fog stops at the door and darts into the box they're hiding behind. Sweat begins to drip as they wonder what it's up to. Soon, the box opens and he looks like Midoriya again. Whose body was that in there? Bakugo asks as he goes to open the door. Tamaki walks out, shaking. Excuse me. He looks back and glares with an intense expression. What do you want? I have something you want. In exchange, you can bring M.My friend back, right? Tamaki reaches back with a tentacle wrapped around Bakugo and All Might, who look unconscious and tied up. You really betrayed them? Did you crush on Kirishima or something? Bakugo accuses. Tamaki blushes brightly and sets the 2 heroes by the door. Fine, but it'll have to wait until I'm done here. The moment he enters the code, the door unlocks. Tetsu runs up to stab him with his silver-covered hand. Ambush, how predictable of you. Izuku frowns in disappointment before kicking Bakugo into Tetsu. All Might easily gets the ropes off and heads for the open door. As shadows head for All Might, Tamaki wraps tentacles around him. Do you really think this'll stop? Me, grah. Maybe normally, but I ate silver before the fight. You. Let's see you fight me off when there's another enemy. The shadow leaves the body to reveal one of the missing heroes. All these tanks around are heroes on life support. Once I end their lives, I can use them as I see fit. Bakugo gets free and flies to each one, blowing them up. Then you'd better make use of the only one left. Fearful, the shadow fog heads for the room. All Might pushes him back with a powerful punch, turning his attention back to the heroes and heading straight for Tetsu. With his body shielded in metal, it tries to pelt him until he breaks. Tetsu comes up to stab it again, realizing his hand has a silver coating. Oh hell no. One of you has to go. In that moment, it camouflages into the darkness, breaking all lights around. All put on night vision goggles. As Tetsu looks around, Bakugo sees the monster behind him. Move, you idiot! It's right behind you. Too late. Tetsu feels a sharp pain in his chest and looks down to see an arm move through him. Not cool. Man. He falls to the floor. All Might runs over to check on him, giving the shadow the chance it has been waiting for to enter the room. Bakugo growls and is about to give chase. W.8. You'll need to H this. With a swing of his fist, Tetsu sends the silver blade over to Bakugo, who catches it and runs inside before the door shuts and locks. The lights in the room soon cut on, and Bakugo takes his goggles off to look around. You're a fool for following me alone. I have one body left to fight with. You won't use his body as a shield. It would be suicidal. There's something I haven't told you, but you'll figure it out soon enough, ha. Bakugo looks around with his left arm extended, ready to blast him, until he hears a heart monitor beeping behind a curtain. He reaches to pull it back, while the beast lurks behind him, watching. Bakugo pulls the curtain back. At first, he only sees a computer with a long text screen. He begins to read and quickly realizes this is how Izuku communicates. It starts with the old text when he was first kidnapped, then his pleas for help with descriptions of the pain he feels, followed by a long silence with just dates charted. A video clip is there, so Bakugo clicks it. A doctor walks in. So have you finally found the quirk mix our SR needs to get stronger? A robotic voice responds, A7, D20, Z82, H29, Q01, V56, and F02. The doctor replies, regain life from feeding off negative emotions, light absorption, corpse takeover to make 7 minions out of the recently dead who have died in a graphic way, ghostly form that changes tangibility at will, heals others, and life drain. Great choice, but that many quirks might kill you. The payoff would be worth it. Wouldn't you agree? Ha! Fantastic, my boy. With that, multiple needles are loaded in a device to inject him all at once. His body contorts in pain before he flatlines. Nomu, keep him alive. We need to tweak the formula. 2 Nomu work together to revive him, but not before a shadow emerges and strikes the doctor down in a brutal fashion. A hand grips his throat as he feels himself fading. Bakugo reads the text below. I tried to die, but now I'm trapped in a loop of hell. He continues reading until he sees the update from today. My wish will soon be fulfilled. I can feel my life slipping away. It's only a month ago that I found out the worst news. When I die, the quirk will go on a rampage. It'll only kill because that's what it was built for. I've tried to push Kaken's rage to the point of killing me, because I know he'll be able to save everyone. Once it's defeated, my last bit of life will heal everyone and return things to normal. So please hurry, Kaken. I don't even have the strength to see with its sight anymore. Bakugo's eyes begin to water. He wipes them quickly and turns to open another curtain. The smell of decay hits him hard, along with the sight of Izuku's condition. His body is covered in sores, muscles so thin that only bone is visible, his once chubby cheeks have sunken in, hair matted from neglect, tubes and IVs surrounding him, bones fused in incorrect positions from improper healing. A Nomu approaches from behind Bakugo. He turns, ready to fight, but it continues walking, carrying 2 4-bags. It hooks them up to Izuku as the other 2 hang empty. Deku? Bakugo falls to his knees, tears streaming down his cheeks. But why do you want me to kill you? Memories flood back. Their childhood, times at UA, even moments in the shower. I've already lost one person I love. Please don't make me lose you too. The robotic voice responds, I trust no one but you because I love you, Kaken. Become the #1 hero and carry our dream on. Okay? Tears roll from Izuku's eyes as he forces a small smile. Just as Bakugo reaches to wipe the tears away, the light cuts off. One Nomu powers a generator to keep Izuku alive while the other heads for the breaker box. Bakugo readies himself for a fight. Only a red light dimly illuminates the room. Fog begins to swirl, moving past Bakugo toward Izuku. The Nomu shoots spikes at it, but Bakugo rushes over, intercepting the spikes with his silver-coated knee pads. I won't let you kill him. Oh, I see. You want to do it yourself, don't you? What a selfish hero you are. I want to save him. If possible, I'd give my life for his. I won't allow that. You always give the biggest feasts of emotions. It's thanks to you that I have enough power right now to take on the top 3 at once. In a swift motion, the Nomu is behind Bakugo. Before he can react, it sideswipes him, pinning him against the wall by his throat, lifting him off the ground. I'm actually glad I didn't kill you before. Now you can watch as he takes his last breath. Bakugo struggles to break free. As he tries to knee the creature again, the fog catches his leg, twisting it and breaking his ankle. He holds back a scream of pain with a growl, but the creature breaks his other ankle as well. This time, Bakugo glares at it, silent. The Nomu drops him to the floor. Stay here while I give him his final wish. With a few huffs, Bakugo lifts his left arm to blast it away, but the beast darts back, breaking his wrists in a quick motion. Then it heads for Izuku. Now to get my strongest attack. Once you're gone, I won't have any weaknesses. The Nomu returns from the breaker box and charges at the fog. No matter how hard it tries, it can't land a blow, while the fog lands every attack to impale the Nomu. No matter how many times it's hurt, the Nomu keeps trying until the fog grows bored. At first, you amused me. Now it's turned to annoyance. Be gone. With a single wave of its hand, the Nomu loses its head. As the fog turns around, the headless Nomu wraps its arms around it. Loyal to the end, I see. The sound of an explosive in the Nomu causes the fog to burst a hole in the ceiling, sending it high up. The blast lights up the night sky for a moment and rattles the building. There, now I can finish what we started. Isn't that right, Midoriya? The beast's eyes widen as it sees Bakugo leaning over Izuku with the silver blade that Tetsu gave him. I'm sorry about everything. I'm sorry for bullying you as a kid, for telling you to jump off a roof, for not supporting you when you needed it. Most importantly, I'm sorry I couldn't save you sooner. I love you, Izuku. Don't you dare. The creature charges at them in rage. As it reaches to stop, Bakugo, Katsuki kisses Midoriya and leans further over him. The consistent beeping soon becomes white noise to Bakugo. The only sounds he hears are the dripping of his tears onto Izuku's chest and his own sobs. Bakugo lets go of the silver blade embedded in his chest and stands up, adrenaline too high to feel pain. Shadows cover his eyes as he stands. It's your fault, the beast laughs, feeding off Bakugo's emotions. Yes, finally. I am. Completed. Wraith. It hissed as it charged at Bakugo. Suddenly, it found itself without a source of power. You got it wrong, beast. Deku would never want to kill anyone. You were born from regrets of weakness, not revenge. Katsuki turned around, his eyes shadowed with rage, wide like a berserker's. At first, I wanted to blame myself, but Deku entrusted me to kill him, to give him mercy, to set him free. Bakugo's body began to smoke as his quirk awakened. Sweat from their earlier fight started to evaporate. Outside the room, Tamaki saw this and pulled Tetsu and All Might out. What the hell, man? Tetsu exclaimed. I saw Bakugo's gauntlets boiling with smoke, Tamaki replied. Come back to us, young hero, All Might urged. Tamaki grew wings and took flight just in time. Bakugo locked eyes with the beast. Silence fell as the structure around him shattered in a bright light. You won't see Deku ever again, because you won't be where he's going. The beast continued its advance, planting a hand on Bakugo's throat. Life drain. Bakugo didn't flinch. In his mind, he envisioned nuclear fission at the molecular level. As he began to bleed, the blood evaporated from the heat of the blast. Let's go to hell together. Boom! Tamaki was almost blown away but managed to stabilize himself quickly. The building was destroyed, leaving only a mushroom-shaped cloud of smoke. Fortunately, Only what was touching Bakugo was affected by the radiation. Tamaki landed, and All Might rushed in, searching for Bakugo. What he saw brought him to tears. A Nomo held a frail Izuku beside Bakugo, placing Izuku's hand on him, allowing Izuku to heal him. Burns were reduced to first degree, and the radiation was gone. "Are you the real?" All Might began, but the Nomu and Izuku were transparent. He realized Izuku was passing on. Time to make things right. They split into beams of light heading towards the hospital, reaching Aizawa, Kirishima, and other heroes and villains affected. 3 weeks later, Bakugo opened his eyes to bright hospital lights. Blinking, he was greeted by Kirishima's smiling face. "Morning, Sleeping Beauty. Have I died?" Bakugo asked. "No, man, you're in the hospital." Bakugo's eyes widened as he tried to sit up quickly, only to be hit by dizziness and nausea. "Easy, Bakubro, you just woke up?" "Where's Deku?" Kirishima fell silent, his smile fading. "Midoriya. He didn't make it." The heroes tried looking for his body, but nothing survived the explosion, except the computer storage under the building. It holds both Izuku's and the beast's memories. "I see." Bakugo's head dropped. Kirishima handed him a zip drive. "His final thoughts are on this if you want to see them. I know he meant a lot to you. Rest assured, no matter what happened, I'm still going to be by your side." As Kirishima stood, Bakugo pulled him down into a hug. "I'm sorry for hurting you. That wasn't manly of me. Yet you still want me? You're too nice for me. I don't deserve it." By the end, Bakugo's voice cracked, and tears dripped onto Kirishima's shirt, causing him to hug tighter. "If you could save me, why didn't you heal yourself? Instead, you gave us another chance together." Kirishima thought back to when he was in the dark, and Izuku was the light that pulled him back. "Kaken needs someone to watch over him. My time is up, so I'm leaving him in your hands, Kirishima. If you're going to hate anyone, hate me, not him. Kaken is an emotional idiot after all." "What do you mean?" Kirishima asked. "Kaken had a crush on me. When I came back, those feelings were rekindled. Now that I'm no longer in the picture, true love like yours and his can continue to bloom. I was a crush, nothing more." "Wait, you're wrong. I wish you both a long, happy life together." Izuku faded away, leaving Kirishima to wake up in his own body. Present day, Kirishima vowed, "I'll do my best to help him move forward." Izuku's message on the zip drive decoded, "Time heals all wounds. Though it might not feel like it now, one day the pain will subside. Love is a strong emotion that shouldn't be wasted on the past. Instead, carry it to the future and embrace it. Though the past is there forever, the future is a gift that only gives for so long. So take the future and make it yours, hero." Izuku Deku Midoriya. The end.